Hi, so this week's video is entitled Let's Learn New Skills. Obviously we've been learning new skills the whole way through, but this week I want there to be a little bit of focus on 3 key ways for using when you're trying to teach a new skill. So those 3 key things to remember when you want to do something new is instructions, modelling and step by step. So I'll go into those in a little bit more detail, but the task this week is to pick a skill that maybe it's something that's starting to crop up in your day-to-day that you want to focus on teaching, or have a look back through Google Classroom at our previous topics and there might be something in there that when you tried it, it didn't really work, but now that the children are a little bit older, might have more success. And especially if you're bearing in mind the 3 key things: instructions, modelling and step by step. So instructions basically means any verbal instructions that you might be giving about a skill. So ideally we need to have the child's complete attention, so best to switch off any TV, radio, music that might be playing in the background, put away any screens, tablets that might just distract them out the side of their eye line, so that you are completely focused on what the task is that you want to do and you've got all their attention. And get down to their physical level. So if they're sitting on the floor, sit on the floor with them. If they're sitting at a table, sit at the table with them, rather than be towering over them. And obviously using language at their level, trying to remember that even though if they're not talking, they are understanding a lot of what we're saying, even though they're not perhaps saying it back to us yet. Use a clear, calm voice, and the best thing to do is have heaps of patience. So don't try it when you're possibly a bit agitated still from something earlier. It's probably not the best time. Leave it until everybody's calm and ready to embrace whatever it is that you're going to do. Modelling is simply you doing whatever it is first, so you're showing them how it's done. And this really goes hand in hand with those verbal instructions. So you might be modelling doing something whilst you're giving verbal instructions at the same time. And it gives them a chance to see how it's done. And if you model repeatedly, then allow them to just join in as and when they feel comfortable. And it could be that you model more difficult aspects of a skill and they join in the easier bits, and then gradually they take over more and more of whatever it is. And finally, step by step is just breaking down more complex skills that require a sequence of actions to happen to get to the final thing. One example of this, which springs to my mind, is tying shoelaces. Now, I'm not expecting you to teach the children this age how to tie shoelaces, but it's a really good example of how there's a set sequence of actions that have to happen to get to the end result of tied shoelaces. And something that I've done a lot in primary school teaching and with my own children is breaking down tying shoelaces into the steps and going backwards. So not tying shoelaces backwards, but going from the end action with the children. So you do all the first actions and then leave them with the final step in that sequence of actions, which is just pulling the loops tight. So you repeatedly let them just pull the loops tight when doing shoelaces, and when they're really confident with that step, you take it back to the one before that. So then they're maybe creating the loops and pulling them tight, and you've done all the sequences first. That's one example of step by step going from the end. You also might do this with getting dressed. So if, for instance, you put on all the clothes to start with and then they do the final thing, which might be pulling their jumper down. Or it could be that they've got their arms through the jumper sleeves and they pull it over their heads and pull it down. So they're doing the final action in the sequence. But also step by step doing the first in getting dressed. So it might be that they, I don't know, pop their vest on and then you do the rest. Completely up to you, but that is step by step. So you're thinking about the steps that go into a new skill, break it down and do it with them so that they're either doing the first thing and you do the rest, or you do the first and they do the final. And in all these instances, it's really important to remember that it takes lots of practice, lots of repetition, and lots of praise and encouragement. So praise the tiniest things. It can be sometimes really difficult to find something to praise, but there will be something in there, and just really praise it, really encourage it, and build on practice and repetition. So whatever the skill is that you decide to go with this week, good luck. And I look forward to hearing in the next Zoom all about how you got on. Stick with it. Good luck.